Hi, my name is Ash Singh. I am an East Coast Angels investor. Would love to hear about what you're doing with Massive. How you doing?
Good. Ash, nice to meet you.
My
I'm
pleasure.
Gianluca Ruggiero. I'm the CEO of Massive. So Ash, I think it's also your experience that in the last years, the opportunities in the market, in consumer markets, have grown exponentially because of e-commerce. And a lot of products have hit the shelf, the virtual shelf, and you basically can acknowledge that there is more turbulence and information overload because of that. So at one point, when you want to buy a television, Ash, it's easier for you in a sense that you have the widest assortment ever, but now you're starting to have problems making the right choice because there is so much availability out there. And this is a problem for consumers as well as businesses. But for a business today, Ash, for example, for a business, for companies in the CPG space in US, this means a loss of $650 billion just in the last 5 years, just in US, because of this huge mess, because of a lot of new players coming into the game and the companies not being able to understand what's going on and how to react. And this is a huge loss for them. So we take this problem and we have built a platform, an insight as a service platform that basically helps helps companies to extract insights, let's say order out of this huge market chaos, okay? We already have traction because we have been around for 5 years. Our platform is fully deployed. We are close to 1 million ARR with alpha customers like Procter & Gamble, Nestle, and the likes. We sell at an ACV of $150,000 a year. We're experiencing 3 times a growth year on year and 0 churn. So the product is working.
Wow.
Why us? Because we have a very well put together team of hustlers, hackers, and what's the third one? I don't remember, but basically we have global experience in terms of marketing. So we understand that we have been working as global marketing consultants. We understand the problem. We understand consumer insight. We understand the marketing people and the business people. And also we have a team with more than 100 papers published on AI, which is what is required to basically make sense of this,
information
huge amount of data. The ask, Ash, is we need $1.5 million just to get ready for the end of this year for our Series A, which we will get there because we are very close to 1 million ARR, which is pretty much the threshold today for SaaS business for 1 billion, for a Series A. And we need this money in order to develop a predictable sales engine and a customer success team. The product is pretty much already there. But Ash, this is just the beginning because we think that what we are solving could actually be applied also to consumers. Because in the future, we have a lot of insights about what should be the right choice for consumers in every single market. And we are starting with big businesses just to, be funded and, tackle the most urgent problem. But we see down the road us being the customer-centric platforms that helps demand and offer come together and be optimized. Thank you for your time, and I hope we can have a coffee on this.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to hear. Let's get some feedback in the chat on the Massive platform. I want to give you a couple of feedback points, and I have some questions as well. Okay. First of all, congratulations on what you've created. We recognize insights related to ensuring optimal strategies for, whether it's the point of sale or digitally, just to kind of drive conversions, is something that is an ongoing challenge. And I know that you work in the CPG space, and you guys have a lot of feedback. I know you were talking about hackers, hustlers, and hipsters, right? Yeah, so the hackers are the ones that build the product. You got the hustlers, and then the hipsters are the ones that ensure ARR, right? Or ensure MRR, right? They make the product cool, right? So I think that was one point that we had. What I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of go a little bit back to basics for a second, right? As you were talking, because I want, like, you've built the product, you're very vested in it. I want to just come back to just get a bit of a clarifying point, right? And so allow me to see if I can summarize this correctly. Typically, before the internet came, okay, before e-commerce was here, right? Because e-commerce came after the internet, right? But, you know, for a very long time, CPG, consumer packaged goods companies like the L'Oreals and the Procter and Gambles of the world had very sophisticated systems for retail point of sale, correct? Right? And they knew, for instance, that, you know, it's St. Patrick's Day, okay? Or it's Valentine's Day, or it's Halloween, and we need to sell pecan pie or pumpkin pie, or, do you know what I mean? Like, they were able to do that, and that is very sophisticated now, okay? What you are saying from a massive platform, you have already proven that you're able to do this in the digital world. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not just in the digital world, because the digital world, which is much more complex than what they were analyzing before, the brick and mortar, it's not just the e-commerce channel, because the e-commerce channel is also influencing what's happening in the brick and mortar channel. To give you an idea, Ash, now, me and you, we get into the business and we want to launch, say, a facial moisturizers. And we can do that. And we can launch it online. And we don't have to pay the $1 million listing to go to CVS and Walgreens. And we just go on Amazon and we try our fortune. But if we succeed, in just a year time, we can go to Walmart and say, you know, we have $1 million sales. This product is skyrocketing online. Why don't you put it on the real shelf?
Sure.
So it's not just the e-commerce angle. It's that basically e-commerce is just a place that gives you a perspective about what turbulence will be in the total market in just a few months.
Yeah. And what you can do is you can do this kind of in real time as well, right? Because in the past, just so the layman, right? Because I want you to pitch this idea to a lot of people. Some people are very narrowly focused on e-commerce and they're going to get what you're doing very quickly, okay? But I want, you know, from a Series A perspective, sometimes it's good to kind of give a little bit of color, because at the end of the day, the person still might be purchasing the product at a Walgreens store, but their research and their influence and everything happened digitally, right? And what you do is you add that layer of influence and you know if things are going to go up or go down, right? Okay. So like, for instance, for those of you that watch the Oscars, you know, there was an incident where Will Smith decided to kind of, you know, get a little bit physical. And so you would track all this information and you would know that if you were selling slap blockers, right? that might have more interest after the Oscars, right? Because our good friend Chris Rock didn't actually do a good block on that. But anyways, that's more of a relevant a recent example. But more importantly, what you're saying is that if we have you know, suddenly there's a lot of sun, right? You look at the weather patterns and you're on social media and there's so much concern about the UV rays over the the next week. That real-time information is going to be fed through to the CPG companies, and the ones that are providing sunscreen are going to see a blip, right? You know, versus if it's cloudy weather and people aren't going to the beach. So you kind of build the social demand, the internet demand overall, and you've been able to kind of make this work. How much more efficient are these companies now after they're using your product?
Well, much more efficient. There are many different use cases about efficiency. So I give you an example, for example, one of the largest toy companies here in US was capable of just after a couple of days of using our platform, they gained literally $2 million in terms of improved pricing in their 2022 budget, just because our platform is telling them exactly how they have to optimize pricing for all their assortment. And this is just one module of our platform. But when it comes to, for example, Procter & Gamble, it's almost impossible to calculate the huge impact that it had, because, for example, they were launching products which were wrong, and they were focusing their millions of dollars of R&D in the wrong direction. And with our data, now they know that, for example, there's a huge trend about retinol and vitamin C in facial moisturizers for anti-aging, and they have launched a huge, new range of products in that space, which means tens of millions of dollars of success just for one SKU, which it's now perfectly catering what is the market demand right now. And markets are becoming too fast to actually rely on very old technology.
Can I, the word insights, Gianluca, like when I think about the word insights, I feel like it's overused. All right. Would it be fair for me to say that your platform does a lot of things, but two things that it does really well is it's a predictive system, right? You can predict demand, right? And you can also predict optimal dynamic pricing. Is that two things that you do really well?
It's things that we do really well. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because there are two words which are very much abused and misunderstood today. And I have a very old-fashioned approach to it, which is understanding of it, which is one is insights and the other one is marketing. Yes. Insight is overabused, and people think about insight and many, many insights. And the second is when people think marketing, they think communication and advertising, whereas actually I mean marketing mix the old way, which is product, place, promotion, pricing. Sure. So the actual management, business management aspect. As a matter of fact, our best customers are CEOs. When we have a chance to let them see the platform, they like, oh, I need this tomorrow. And I want to implement across the platform. Our second best customers are CMOs and CMIs.
Got it. And so when I look at it, because, and again, I always like to, when we do the elevator pitching, I always like to change it up so you can hear something just a little bit different. I try to, it's more for your learning, and the feedback points is better for everyone in this process. But my thought process tells me this. Yes, you talked about CPG, but it's actually anyone. You've just started with CPG, because if Correct. You can work with CPG, you can conquer anyone. If it works for Procter and Gamble, it's going to work for anyone else. Correct? Right? That's just a proof point, right? The second Correct. Thing is instead of an insight as a service, being able to have a sales prediction engine, right? A demand generation, right? Like being able to predict demand for a product and optimally price it. You put those two things together, right? What does that equate to, Gianluca? Like if I'm Procter and Gamble and I'm selling skin cream or deodorant, right? Because you might be working with one division. Tell me about, if you're using your product correctly, how much more efficient are these companies going to be operating, right? So if I have I'm using your product, I'm using your listening tools to predict demand, okay? And I'm making decisions faster. And then I build the product, and then you tell me how to price it. Because you know that selling the skincare product is going to be priced different in Oakland than it is in San Francisco, okay? Because, there might be some data that shows that, the New York price should be a little bit different than the New Jersey price, okay? I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just giving an example, right? So if I do these two things right, Gian, how much more profitable, and tell me about that size? Because if the CEO is loving this, you are doing something pretty massive, right? Pardon the pun. I know that your company's called Massive, right?
That's actually the point. Yeah.
Right. But tell me about that. Give me some numbers or just estimates, okay, based on your experience, because I think it's important for people to think about what you're trying to do, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what we are achieving is we are allowing our customers, to reduce the time span, which is the time to insight. The time to insight is reduced by probably 90%. Because usually right now, companies have to juggle between a lot of different platforms. By the way, our platform is both qualitative and quantitative together, which is a huge problem for customer insight manager, because they have to juggle between different platforms, and to answer complex questions takes weeks. And by the way, the answers are very bad because data are incompatible. So I would say 90% reduction of time to insight, which basically has a consequence, reduces the time to market by a lot. Actually, it halves the time to market, because now you have much more reliable insights that you can rely upon to launch the product that exactly matches consumer needs, without losing too much time in wondering where or so that's the thing. And also you reduce dramatically in terms of probably a year, months for sure, but also year,
Tell me
effect that you have on the product.
So you make decisions 90% faster. You get to market 50% faster with your optimal dynamic pricing. How much more do you sell then? Right. So the second element, because you're helping people price correctly, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're kind of like
our platform.
The airline model. The airline model is now being brought to CPG products, right? So pricing can change from how much sales improvement can they expect if they predict and get all of your engine working better, right? What's the increase in sales, just roughly, just to get a sense?
Well, that's something I struggle with, because I know that it's very much up to the companies to use the data in a right way. But what I can tell you is that the toy company we're working with, the moment they started using our platform, they improved their revenues 15%, actually.
Got it.
So now...
Is 15% a big deal for CPG companies? For those of you that have not worked in CPG companies, like if Mattel, as an example, is improving their bottom line by 15%, Gianluca, is somebody getting a promotion?
Yeah. Not only if they are basically backed by a private fund, they're getting a lot of money out of that. Because CPG company growth normally is in the 2, 3, things like that. And you can do that. Now, the problem why I'm very shy about this is that someone could say, well, it's not really only you, it's also how the people use the data, how they're good at acting on that.
Yeah, I get it. But I want to get some color on that, Gian, right? Because I feel like that's what needs to come out, because I know that you've had a lot of success with the CPGs of the world. I know that there's kind of a little bit of a connection point on that. But as I'm listening to what you're doing, right? This is you've kicked it off. I think you've just proved it with CPG. But, the example that you used with Amazon and all the other components are very powerful as well, right? And so when I think about this, cross-platform, digital, all of the connection points that you're doing, right? Traditional analytics versus digital. You're connecting those two together. And you're also an independent player as well. That's something that didn't come out, because, it's like I run Google Ads and I use Google Analytics. What does that mean? Do you know what I mean? I use Facebook ads and I use Facebook ads. Like, can I trust this? Do you know what I mean? And so I feel like having an internal source of truth that's not somebody that could potentially, you know what I mean? I think that's also something that didn't come out in your pitch, which I feel is important in today's world where we don't have the same amount of trust that we used to have, right?
Yeah.
With some of the big players, right? And that's kind of it. And you got $1 million in sales already, and you're going towards your Series A, right? And if you get that $1.5 million, what are you going to do with it, Gian?
So what we want to do is to build a sales predictable engine, because right now we just started with our first SDR a few months ago. We hired them, and we are now optimizing the message and the sequence in order to get a lot of prospects in our meetings, because all the customers we work with, they are super happy about the platform. So we just need to optimize the messaging and the structure to start scaling up with big sales. The second part we need the money for is to start the customer success team.
Yes.
So
there's an education component and all the other elements. Absolutely.
The education in our business is important, because basically our platform. So I was talking to Martin this morning, and he was referring to the no-code trend. Okay, in a way, what our platform does is basically almost like the no-code equivalent for data and insights. So we have shaped the platform in such a way that you can get insights in just a few minutes, business, live impacting businesses insights in just a few minutes, and without struggling too much. But what we think also, in order to scale, is that we would love to use to start basically an academy, a massive academy, to have customers have easy videos, like 3-minute snippets that they can go to and have all the answers, so that improves their usage of the platform. Because sometimes users start basically using the product optimization module, and after 6 months, we have realized they haven't used the price modeling because they were so much in love with the product.
I hear you.
Them to basically
make sure you get it. And that's an expensive process. It's a very expensive process, right? Just to make sure that they utilize all the features, right? We see this a lot with a lot of the SaaS platforms, right? People just, you have Google Analytics, right? And you don't use it, right? Most people are using like 5% of what Google Analytics can do, right? And this probably relates to everything else too. So, Gianluca, would you like me to pitch your idea?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And so what I'm going to do again is I'm going to pitch your idea differently, but I'm going to focus on the areas that we've spoken about today. Okay. And just before I begin, how much experience do you have? Because you have a lot of background yourself. I know you have your team, but yourself as well. How much time have you spent in the CPG and the marketing space? Just so everyone knows, because you're
25 years globally.
Yes.
I started at Unilever, global marketing manager there, and then I became a global strategist for IPG and WPP groups globally.
Got it.
Worked, so you've been everywhere in the world.
Yeah, so you've globally spent a lot of time, because I want that to come out as well in the pitch, because I know you got a great team. But I always like to kick off with the founder. I always find it's good to know who the person is, because if you've got 25 years in the CPG space globally, it's probably obvious that you have the right team as well. Okay. But I wanted that to come out. So I'm going to pitch your idea, and you get to be an investor. So Gianluca, you can be whoever you want, right? You can be, and you can go back in time too. They don't actually have to be around today. You could be one of the original Unilever founders if you want, whoever you want it to be, we can go back in time. No problem. This is just a simulation. So it's a lot of fun, but I'm going to hit the top of the elevator, and I want to talk to you about Massive. Okay. So we're hitting the top. You can introduce yourself, and I will pitch on behalf of the Massive team. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi Hash, this is Gianluca Ruggiero. I am the head of at P&G Ventures. So we are, as you know, a CPG company, but we also invest in new technologies that can help us, grow faster and better. Yes,
Gianluca, great to finally meet you in person. I've attended some of your keynotes at several conferences. I want to talk to you a little bit about Massive. I've been in the CPG space for over 25 years. I've loved my time there. There's so much data, so much impact, but I felt that after 20 years in this space, I felt that in our time today, the world needed something more. So we've been working on our platform called Massive. And as you know, the world has changed in terms of data. Before you would focus on kind of the retail sphere, and we have a lot of sophisticated information there. But as digital came to be, as we work in this real-time world, we felt that it was important for us to create that next generation platform to predict demand, predict pricing, and enable people like yourself to make real-time decisions. And so we've created this, we've proven it out with some of the other CPGs, right? And what it's enabled, the C-suite to do is make decisions 90% faster because we combine the quant and the qualitative elements together. They're getting to market 50% faster, and we have seen 15% uptakes, right, on bottom line. And I know this is tough to believe, it's very rare to see, but I want to show this to you in action. Okay. What we're looking to do is we've actually built this out. We got some great returns. Have over $1 million in revenue. We're raising our Series A, and I want you to participate in this process, not just as an investor, but I want you to bring this into your organization and allow us the opportunity to show what our 100 years in research from the CPG space to data analytics and machine learning can impact your bottom line. I'd love to chat more over a coffee and look forward to sharing this with you in person. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a great experience to hear it back from you. I assume it's the same for everybody else.
Is it? Well, I just wanted to bring that out, right? Now, you were talking about, because you introduced yourself as a CPG person, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. Yeah.
Procter and Gamble, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is if you were just the Series A investor, Gianluca, I would look at it by saying, by the way, we've gotten $1 million and had some great case studies. Okay. We need to now elevate this, and this can be applied to all the CPG companies, all the success companies on Amazon, and then walk them through that giant picture of where this is going to go. Okay. You are going to be the brains and the analytics for commerce. And it's, as I'm seeing this right now, as I was pitching you, because, having done a lot of elevator pitching, my brain starts to go in different directions, right? Like what I'm saying is just what I'm hearing from you. But after I pitched it to you, it was obvious to me that if you are successful, Amazon will buy your business. Okay. Amazon will buy, if that's what you want to do. I don't know if that's your goal, but when I was connecting all the dots, right, I'm like, Amazon should buy this business. You know what I mean? And I feel like if we get that right, and that's what the investor's thinking, your fundraising journey for 1.5 million, which is not a lot, should actually be very, very easy. Okay. Right. So this is just my thought. And obviously we wish you all the best on that. We're going to support you. And we have a couple of, there's a couple of people we want to get you in touch with as well. You talked about the toy industry as well. We want to connect some of these elements, and we'll take that offline. But I want to thank you for sharing what you're doing. Incredible stuff. And we look forward to being part of your success, Gianluca. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank
Cheers.
you, guys.
My pleasure.